Okay, time to unbox this engine. Now, as we can see, it's in the standard Hornby Railways packaging, being a standard Hornby Railways locomotive. Now, if you want to read the history, there is the history for you to read. Of course, no BR classification number. This engine never worked for British Railways, being completely industrial. Now we'll slide off the outer sleeve, which shows the engine. Now, I'm not sure, but that almost looks... It's a very dark blue-green to me, but for you it looks a bit navy blue. But anyway, either way, that is a terrible, terrible photograph of this engine. Now, of course, the instructions are in the back there, so I'm trying to get these out. These are just the standard Hornby instructions, so it'll tell you lubrication and all that. So that's just standard stuff. Now, this is the engine in the standard ice brick packaging. Now, of course, there is no detail pack with this, as was with the W4 Peckett, so if you don't like fitting details, this is perfect for you. Alright, now that that engine is out of its plastic, you really do see the horrible inaccuracy of this here photograph. Like, seriously, you think it's going to be dark green, but no, it's actually quite a bright blue. Either way, it's a very nice locomotive, and we shall get on to the detail. Okay, now on to a detail segment for this video. First of all, you can see the well-printed builder's plate, and I'm not sure what that would be above. Probably a number plate for where this locomotive worked, which in this period was an NCB plant, coal plant. So that's what that would be, and they are legible. I'll try and get photos of those. You'll be seeing those now. Looking down at the wheels, there you can see that they are in fact covered. Covered with the rest of the wheel, so the axles are not visible, which is a nice touch, one that I wish modelers of Australian engines would do, or model companies of Australian engines, because they charge something like $700, a lot of the time quite a lot more, and they don't even have covered axles. So, go figure. But anyway, you can see the Earl nameplate here, which has sort of gold line around it, gold banding, as well as the Earl, which is also in gold. Above it, you can see the handrail. Now, speaking of handrails, they are separately fitted. I'm not sure if they're metal or not, but they are quite strong. You can sort of touch them without them breaking, not that I recommend you would. And there's the other one on the front there. Can bring the back in. And you can see the nameplate once again there, and the pipework down below that. The pipework is generally nicely fitted, but on a few areas there are glue marks. Now, the connecting rods are in fact red, as I'm sure you noticed by now, but the paint on those is quite good, and in the half year of ownership, none of it has worn off, which on a few other models I have had happen. Now, on the fronts of the pistons, you can see some valves. If I can pick up the engine and show you right now, the valves there and beneath, cylinder drain cocks beneath. The buffers on this engine are not sprung, however, they do have the hooks for chain link couplings, front and back. Once again, there was no detail pack, therefore both couplings were indeed pre-fitted to the engine. There's plenty of riveting on this engine to make up for the lack of lining. Rivets down there along the bottom, the back, and along the front, which is quite nice, as well as the separately fitted smoke box dart, which is a feature I really quite like on locomotives because it adds realism, quite a lot of realism. You compare that to a model that doesn't have it, the difference is quite large. Now the cab detail on this is pretty minimal. I will show you some photos of that, but the glazing is not separate. It is in fact just one piece. Not sure if you can see that well, but it is just one piece. The coal in the bunker should be removable, or it looks removable to me, although I've not had it out. I don't intend on having it out either. Now I did notice, and this is a bit annoying, but my whistle is very slightly wonky to me. I'm not sure if it is actually wonky or not, but it looks like it is to me. There are variations of this dome here. This is the one with the open safety valves, but you can get one which is a lot more like the W4 Peckett, which I own. I also have a review for that, so if you want to go check that out, you can. Either way, this model is nice and fine generally. It's generally very well made. There's only two lamp irons, one on the front and one on the back on this engine, so quite little to break off, which is always a good thing. As I alluded to before, the livery is quite basic, however the blue is quite nice and bright. That just about wraps up the detail section. We will now move on to the running and performance. Okay, now we'll do performance for the B2 Peckett. Now this engine has of course already been running, and I'm turning up the power, and as we can see it's trying to move, but it's struggling a bit, and there we go. That's a crawl. Now this engine hasn't really been warmed up yet, so there you go. That's quite a nice, good crawl for this engine. It's quite smooth as well, or very smooth I should say, as you'd expect from the Peckett. Now I'm fairly sure these have the same 3-pole motor as have been used in the W4 Peckett and the Terrier, and these will take 6-pin decoder sockets like the ones in the Terrier. Now as we can see here, it's going quite smoothly, quite slowly, really quite nice. In reverse, so we'll go and we will get her backed up to her train. Right, now we shall see if she has coupled. Hopefully she has. Because if she hasn't, that will be quite annoying, but oh well. Okay, yep, she's all coupled. The B2 should be ready to go. The points aren't set, I'll go do that. Okay, we should be all good now. Now these are 4 coaches that she will be hauling today. This is the largest rake I've got. So there you go. You can manage those of course with ease. Her entirely metal die-cast boiler is doing good there. She can probably haul a lot more than this. I'd probably say maybe 8. If it's anything like the W4, which can haul quite a lot more than it seems. Speaking of the W4, that will be the other engine I will be running today, is the W4? Did I say B4 before? Anyway, it's the W4 Peckett, which will also be running and should be coming into shot soon. There you go. And we can now enjoy these two locomotives running with ease. Now that the Peckett B2 is on the inside line, it struggles nowhere on this track. It runs quite well. It's quite a firm runner, and ever since I got it, it's run quite well. It's run very well, and it hasn't had any issues. Whatsoever, so that's quite nice. Okay, what do I think of this engine? Well, I think that they are very reliable, much like the W4 locomotives. They run well, they will haul quite a lot, and you should have no issues because the motor in them is tried and tested in the Terrier, which you could see on the left, and the W4. There's plenty of die cast on them. They've got brass bearings. What more could you want? Like, look at that. So, my opinion of the B2 is it's very good, very positive opinion. It's a lovely engine. Now, prices of these in Australia, anyway, have become quite high recently, near $200. So, I didn't pay that much for mine. I paid $180, I think. But I think they're $190 and $200 now, so they are definitely getting more expensive, which isn't good, as with everything. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you found this review helpful and informative. I will see you in the next video. And yes, the Peckett always stops on that one. The W4 always stops on that point there. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe.